Welcome to Thursday Night, Loot Shooter Weekly. I am gamertag Burt Reynolds, and as usual, with me tonight is the one and only Golden Voice Gaming, Negan Killjoy.
Hello, Bert. So,
Hello,
uh,
Negan.
so how's Bert doing this Thursday evening? How's life treating him today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm tired, so I might be a
Right?
little lower energy tonight, but that might actually be a good thing for what we're covering
For
tonight.
what we're covering tonight, might come in handy. Play into the
Well,
build a little bit.
might come in handy, yeah. But other than that, man, I'm good. How about you? How are
I'm
you?
doing good. Kind of same thing. Not as low energy as you apparently, but I am also a little tired. It's been a week, been the last couple days, so it's all good though. Friday's coming up, which means the weekend's here. Good times
Yay!
planned. So
Yeah,
all good.
good. Glad to hear that, man. Tonight we've got a couple things planned. We're going to talk real quick about what we're drinking.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk real quick about other games because big week for other games. And then we are actually going to show you we had a request last week, which we're going to respect. We ran last week. We did, if you haven't had a chance to watch last week's video, it was the part two Moe's build, the Hunka Burnin' Moe's, my
Thank you.
Elvis
Thank you very
theme build.
much.
Yeah, with all the rocket launchers and cut-press launch pad. And last week we ran it, and I gave Negan a build, a Zane build that I put together based loosely on Moxie's level 65 Bore Explosion build. So we got a request to see what that build actually consisted of. Everybody wanted to see it. So I named it because got to have a name. It's not a build if it
That,
doesn't have a name.
That's right. Got to have a name for it. And we named this one. What did we name it?
Big Mistake Zane. And I
Big
named it Big,
Mistake.
yeah, Big Mistake Zane. I named it Big Mistake for a couple of reasons. One, because it's all about weapons that eraser. So there's a skill, I'll show it real quick, just kind of level set us here, in the purple skill tree called Eraser. And it's basically Zane's critical hits pierce through enemies for all weapons, dealing increased damage for every enemy pierced. 120% per enemy pierce. But what it actually does is if it critical hits, it passes through and spawns another projectile. So it doesn't actually pass through. It's not like the projectile goes through and just keeps going. Instead, it hits the enemy, crits, and it creates the same, like a replication of the projectile that hit them. And that projectile goes forward and it picks up all of the scaling again. So it's like multiplicative. And it happens to any gun you use it on. But certain guns, like guns that deal splash damage, will hit multiple enemies all at once, and then it creates a whole bunch of additional projectiles and a whole bunch of additional damage. And so, while you would think this build would be all about guns that crit, like, for example, Jacob's weapons, would make sense. When I read the skill, I'm like, oh, that probably works great with Jacob's weapons. It actually works best with big splash weapons, like rocket launchers. We tested that out last week and discovered that, yeah, there's an ammo economy issue if you run the build solo. Somebody has to have a cut purse launch pad going in order to keep the ammo up. So we'll look at that build again tonight. Actually, we'll go through it in detail and show you exactly what the skill tree looks like, what are the weapons I would run with it, and we'll show you how it plays, which is probably mostly going to involve me being down and Negan being down. Now, I'm going to run the cut purse launch pad. You don't have to tonight, Negan. And I'm going to do that just simply because, realistically speaking, if you're ever going to play this solo, you'd have to run your own cut purse launch pad. Otherwise,
Totally makes sense.
it's a short date. Otherwise, it's a very
It's a big
explosive.
mistake, very big mistake pulling this guy in all by himself if you don't have the cut first launch pad.
It's true. If you do not have your own cut purse launch pad, you will get through one area and you will be out of ammo on every weapon you have, and that's a big mistake because what is it that Marcus says? Something about a big paperweight if you
That's
don't have
right.
ammo. So that's what we're gonna look at from a build perspective tonight. Before we do that, let's get the other two things out of the way. I'll set my controller down, and we can have
Ooh, serious.
bar stool time.
Exactly.
So we'll start with you, Negan, and then we can discuss other games over a quick cold one.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. So I am going with a beer from Berryessa Brewing Company, which is out of Winters, California, which is north of here. They're calling it an Aztec lager, so it's a Mexican lager. It's called La Fuerza. I'm probably slaughtering that, but I think it's close to the correct pronunciation. And they describe it simply as an easy drinking traditional Mexican lager with a slight amber hue, brewed with 4% locally grown corn. So,
Wow.
So it should be pretty good.
You're going back to the Mexican lager. Now, I walked away from my screen because I'm going to call an audible. I changed my mind the last minute.
There you go. Yes, I'm going Mexican lager because, you know me, Mr. Sensitive. I was given crap last week, both online by you and by others, for having an Imperial Stout when it's so hot outside. So clearly, I ruffled feathers. I didn't want to do that again this week. So I'm going back with my Mexican lager.
So I'm gonna argue with you on that. I'm gonna point out that I did not give you crap. I just said, "Isn't it still hot there?" That's all I did. I just asked. I asked. It was other people who will remain unnamed did give you crap. I just said, isn't it still hot there?
Isn't it still hot there? Exactly.
Yes.
And it does pour out a nice amber color, so actually this should be pretty good. So, what are you drinking? What was your audible?
My audible. I'm gonna, in honor of you, actually. Although you're on this Mexican lager kick, but in honor of you, I did pick up a Kolsch from that brewery down in Huntley that I like, called So Hopped Brewery, and it's called Kolsch Call, and it's
cute.
It's got a little baseball guy on it, sliding into second. I'm gonna assume second. So this one says, if you're looking for drinkability and crispness in a craft beer, it's not even close. It's a so-hopped Kolsch Call. This Kolsch style ale brewed with big German words. Not going to say them. And Tettnang hops offers a refreshing finish perfect for summertime, whether on a picnic or relaxing on your favorite taproom patio or taking in a game at the old ballpark. So that's what I'm going to go with, Negan. That's
nice.
That's my audible tonight. Cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
All right, so let's talk about other games real quick. Destiny, tons of news this week, right? A lot of news this week. They came out with the new season, the season of the Lost, which we played a fair amount of. I mean, well, I have at least. You've played some. I've played a fair amount. And I'm enjoying it.
A little bit. I played the night we played. I played a little bit after that, not too much, but I did enough to kind of get into, you know, the new events and the season activities and stuff like that. So I got to experience those.
Yep. Yeah, and I like it. Actually, the new season has kind of two seasonal events. There's one that's tied to like Blindwell. That one's pretty fun. But the second one's almost like a little solo. It's almost like a little solo dungeon, where you go into the Ascendant Plane and hunt for Techians. That one's really fun. There's like hidden chests and all kinds of stuff going on there. And
I forgot about the hidden chests. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, there's hidden chests and all kinds of business. So I found that to be really cool because I genuinely, content-wise, or at least art style-wise, I hate Taken, but I love the Dreaming City and I love the Ascendant stuff from an art perspective. I just think it's got a cool artistic style. So.
Oh, absolutely! It definitely has a good feel to it. And the Ascendant Plane activity was fun. I think I enjoyed that more than the other one. That you have to run with the astral projections and the alignments and stuff like that, and the defense, which according to various outlets and stuff like that, were glitched. I don't know if they fixed the glitch or not, but apparently there was a couple of them. They don't finish the way they should, or they don't allow you to finish. So we were lucky when we got into ours. Ours both let us to finish and all that good stuff. So Apparently a little glitchy launch for some people, but overall, I think for us, we had a good experience. I did anyway. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was great, and I think it'll provide a fair amount of fun things to do. I'm assuming much like past seasons, every week those will be new locations. There'll be new, kind of a new mix or pool of things, and I'm sure on
Yeah,
the Ascendant plane, like it will, there'll be more to do there as well. And I will say the getting the pinnacle out of it is a very low commitment. You only have to run that dungeon twice to get,
oh,
or
that's
dungeon,
nice.
mini dungeon, whatever, mini, like whatever you want to call that, seasonal mission. You only have to run it twice per character per week to, get all your pinnacle, like all the pinnacle out of it, which, I mean, that's low commitment,
Hmm.
realistically speaking. So I thought that was cool. Obviously, they made a whole bunch of other changes. Um, buffed, they buffed a bunch of guns, but ironically, well, they buffed and or changed, like did a real big overhaul of fusion rifles. I love fusion rifles because they remind me of the Needler
I
from
was gonna
Halo.
say you were really looking forward to a fusion rifle update or something like that for Destiny for a long time now.
Yeah, and we got it, and it feels good. And that is one of the seasonal mods for champions. But they also buffed hand cannons and they buffed scout rifles, which I would be really, really excited about, except for there's no seasonal mods for either of those this season.
Right.
So
Exactly.
they reworked them and then they're not even really in play in end game content.
Right. Although it
It's
did feel
okay.
good. I was running a scout rifle in one of the activities and stuff, and it did feel like it did feel good.
Mm.
So that was nice.
Yeah, man, my hung jury felt awesome. I was like, this is so much better.
Uh-huh.
um, so it's good.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's that, and then they announced that in December they're going to have a anniversary sort of party thing that is going to involve it's paid DLC. It's $20, but it's a like a throwback dungeon, loot dungeon, and I'm guessing kind of based on the original loot cave from Destiny 1 in the Cosmodrome. I think is probably what it is, and they're going to bring back the Galahorn exotic, which anybody who played Destiny 1, that's fan favorite, and several other I think weapons from Destiny 1. Like there's be like a whole pack of weapons from Destiny. That sounds fun. That'll definitely break things up because they also announced that like this is the last season before the expansion, which means this is the season that has to take us all the way through to February. That's a long time, man. A long time.
Yes, it is. Long time.
So then the other game news from the week is, or I guess it's maybe from last week, but we've never played Marvel Avengers, but they had an expansion come out, War for Wakanda. I think that came out last week actually, but this would be the first full week with it, and it was enough that I ended up getting the game. So just want to check it out. But I guess that's news as well. In this game this week, Eden 6 is the planet for the Loot the Universe event, and no new buffs to any weapons today. So there's
So they've
that.
been kind of going on a buffing spree, so it might kind of make sense they're taking a break to see how things play out a little bit more. So they've been, I think they did the right thing. Didn't buff anything else this week, not to overwhelm everybody.
They didn't buff
You know.
anything last week either. It's been too many weeks, Negan. More
Oh, too many
buffs.
weeks. More
More.
buffs.
More buffs. All right,
All
I'm picking my
right.
controller back up here. So let's
All
look
right.
at this build. So the
Big
kind of
mistake,
the
Zane. Big
big mistake,
mistake,
Zane.
Zane.
So again, the thing here was like, well, what would I do with Zane if I never had to worry about ammo?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're running with somebody who's running, if you're running with somebody who's running a hunk of burning Moe's build like I was running last week, you wouldn't have to worry about ammo. Now, realistically, and I'm holding the gun I'm holding, the Sandhawk, because honestly, my first thought of what I would do with Zane if I don't have to worry about ammo would actually be just to run whatever Zane build I'm already running and just put a Sandhawk on and use it all the time. That's my first thought. But if I
Not
wanted to have an
not a
actual,
bad thought. Sandhawk does good
yeah,
with Zane.
it does. I would, if I was running Chain Zane, I'd just put a Sandhawk on because I would like using the Sandhawk on Zane. It just runs through ammo like crazy. But last week when I was thinking through this, I was like, let's find a Zane build that we can bring some big guns to. And big guns we did bring. So the gear for this build is again based on, so Moxie at level 65 did this build called Borsplosion Zane, which is a throwback to, he did a whole series on guns that interact well with the eraser skill that we talked about a little while ago, which is similar to an old skill that Krieg had, previous Borderlands, called Bore. And what it basically did, guns that bored, they would bore in and they would explode and cause massive damage. These quote unquote pass through enemies on critical hits and pass on to another enemy and do more critical hits, whatever the case may be. That eraser, he did a whole series called Does It Eraser, based on old videos by another streamer called Does It Bore. After he did all that, he was like, hey, I'll throw a build together to make the most out of guns that eraser. That was at level 65, and I think he, to his credit, I think he just kind of threw something together pretty quick to make the most of guns that eraser. I then took that build, we're now at level 72, and I took a look at, well, what could I do to really kind of optimize it? So we are going to be running all guns that do eraser. I'll run the Sandhawk. I would probably more run the complex route, which I also have because it erasers a lot. The Sandhawk does too. It's not either or. I just run the Sandhawk just because I already have it on. I'm going to run an Annex Jericho. I'm going to run a Creamer. And I'm going to run a Globetrotter. Now, what Negan and I discovered last week, and Negan can fully confirm this, is that several guns in this game, in the heavy slot, actually do friendly fire damage to one another. So that's a major problem with this build.
Yes, it is.
It will kill your friends, like, a lot. And unfortunately, two of the guns I'm running tonight are guns that do that. The Annex Jericho and the Globetrotter. They do actually do damage to your friends. So Negan may be down a lot tonight, but he's going to try and keep his hamster ball up.
Yeah, I am. That just stay the hell away from you. Just keep running the other direction.
Well, the problem is when, and this is the whole point of this build, it will create massive chain reactions, so it'll wipe like the whole map. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, there's a visual effect. You'll see it on screen. The whole screen will get blurry. When that happens, there's basically damage everywhere, and there's no real escaping it. Just saying. In Moxie's build, he ran a rad suit to get full radiation immunity. You can totally do that. If you're running shock weapons, you can totally run the Transformer. Instead, I went with a weatherproof Revolter with 3x resistance on it, because between the 3x resistance there, the resistance on the shield, I'm getting a lot of shock resistance, and then I have radiation resistance on my cut purse launch pad. I'm going to run all radiation or shock weapons, and I'm going to take a little damage, and then I'm going to become very resistant to that damage. And so I'm not fully resistant. I'm not 100% resistant. If I were running all shock weapons and had a shock resistance on here, I would be, but I'm not, because I'm also running a kinetic weapon, and I can't be resistant from that. So I'm getting close on both, and I'm going to stay back. That's basically what I'm going to do. You have to run a Hustler comm, because this will allow you basically to crit off of non-headshots. So damaging an enemy with non-critical hits grants Zane a stacking 25% chance of critical, or stacking 25% increased critical hit damage, and a 5% chance for non-critical hits to score a critical hit, which consumes all stacks. This stacks 5 times. And in all of that, what ends up happening, which is really kind of nice, is that I'm basically I'm gonna crit off of non-critical hits, and big splashy weapons are going to cause that to happen a lot. I'm running the It's Piss with on grenade throw. This I have on here because this is actually also going to extinguish status effects from me. So the way this works, I can't throw grenades. I've got 2 action skills, But my gun, every so many shots, is going to spit out a grenade basically right in front of me. It's going to be in its piss grenade, and it's going to take any status effects off of me, and that's going to keep me partially healed. And finally tonight, running the exact same cut purse launch pad that we ran in the build last week. This you would run if you're running solo and nobody else is running a cut purse launch pad. If somebody else in your group, for example, is running Hunka Hunka Burn and Mows, then you would not run this. Instead, you would just run a mag size and fire rate Pearl in its place. And that would work. This one does have heavy damage, area of effect damage, and radiation resistance. But you'll notice I don't have splash damage on my comm. I don't have to have it here. The reason being is we're not actually, like, it's not about splash damage or splash damage radius. What we're looking for is a chain reaction to occur. And when the chain reaction occurs, adding additional splash damage or splash damage radius to anything does not matter. It just doesn't matter. When the chain reaction occurs, everything dies. It's almost binary. It's not like if I just had a little bit more splash damage, it would make it kill more guys. When it happens, everything's dead. Nothing's left. It's like a nuclear bomb went off. All right.
Yes, it is. All right. So you got some good guns there.
You can confirm that.
Mm-hmm.
In the skill tree, what we have going on, we have 5 going into violent speed. After killing an enemy, Zane gains increased movement speed for a few seconds, affects to X twice. We have cold bore. Zane gains increased weapon swap speed. We are going to swap weapons a lot with this, launchers basically. So that weapon swap speed is nice. We also get some bonus cryo damage on the first shot after swapping weapons. Well, guess what? We're using launchers. So that bonus damage is big damage, and we are going to swap, relatively frequently. Violent momentum, we're going to run around with this build just like any other build. This is going to give us additional gun damage. Even if you're just at walk speed, you get extra gun damage out of this. It's just such a great skill. Cool hand, this is going to give us reload speed. We've got launchers, reload speed's important. Salvation's going to give us some life steal. Again, it's sort of binary with this build. Like, I put the point in here because 1 point does help, but like, you're either up or you're down. It's kind of where it is.
You're right. It happens fast too.
You're either up or you're down. There's not a lot of difference. See in red, we aren't using a see in dead comm, so activating an action skill automatically activates all of my kill skills. Yep, I'm going to need that. I'm not running a see in dead, and I want that skill. I am going to be using a cryo cannon over the shoulder cannon, so I'm going to be using this a lot. No point in putting anything into violence. Fire rate on launchers, not all that important, but it is important to put something into plain dirty because launchers having an extra shot, an extra projectile. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good.
Tasty goodness right there.
Yeah, that's a lot of extra damage right there. Good misfortune, action skill. Killing an enemy increases Zane's action skill duration. Yep, we're going to run with the hamster ball. So we want to kill enemies so that our hamster ball stays up. That is going to provide us additional damage mitigation. Death follows close. This is such a great skill. Kill skills gain increased effect and duration. It's just, the kill skills. Anybody who has played Zane knows that most of Zane's power comes after a kill. And that's why when Zane goes into fight for his life, he's usually pretty much hosed. In the red tree, we've got 5 into Praemunitus. Zane and his Digiclone gain increased mag size. We're not using a Digiclone, but additional mag size is nice, especially on launchers. Borrowed time, our action skill duration. We're going to gain action skill duration for every active action skill. Yep. That means using that cryo cannon is going to keep our shield up. And again, duct tape mod, this is going to allow my gun to shoot its piss grenade right in front of me, which is going to be nice because I'm going to pick up the cleansing effect of the its piss taking status effects off me, which, oh, believe me, I'm going to have status effects on me. All the way down the tree here from my comm, I do have like a ghost, which gives me the ability to ignore bullet chance, and that is helpful in this particular case. because I'm going to be pretty focused on firing big guns, and I'm going to have a lot of in-between time. You know, rockets are not the fastest thing, and so during that time, if everything hasn't quite died yet, I'm going to have a lot of things shooting at me. So it's helpful. In the green tree, we gain maximum increased shield capacity. It's good. It helps. We need to stay alive long enough to fire those shots. Ready for action, we get recharge rate and recharge delay. Down here, we get brain freeze. This is going to help us slow enemies. Critical hits. Again, we're going to be scoring a lot of critical hits. It's going to slow them down. That's a good thing. Stiff upper lip. Whenever Zane is damaged, he gains damage resistance against that damage type. This again is going to help me with, you know, all the resistance skills I've got going on my shield. This just adds additional resistance. We're going to take a lot of self-dot damage on this build. Distributed denial. My barrier gains the effect of my currently equipped shield mod. Additionally, the shield effects are applied to allies near the barrier. Bonuses to Zane are reduced. This is, you know, it's great because we had to come down here because we wanted to get the hamster ball. But we saw this last week. If you got somebody else running, again, the hunka burn mows, and they come and stand inside the shield, you were dropping it sometimes last week when we were running the Malawan takedown. I would come in there and I would pick up the effects of the shield, which, of course, since we're running a revolter, that's a lot of extra damage. And finally, the last tree that we're going all the way down, we've got the purple tree. We're going to put 5 into Deja Vu. We're not putting anything into Mana Focus for accuracy. We're firing rocket launchers. We're just going into Deja Vu. Whenever Zane kills an enemy with a critical hit, there's a chance for ammo to be added to my magazine. Well, again, our goal here is to crit a lot with big splashy weapons. Adding ammo back into the magazine of a rocket launcher is helpful, without a doubt. We've got 5 in Headman's Hand. Zane gains increased critical hit damage. Yep. We're relying on those crits, lots of them, and we want that damage to be as much as possible. Commitment. Zane gains increased gun damage and action skill cooldown rate. That's just a flat buff. Good stuff. Fugitive. Zane can sprint and shoot at the same time. Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to kind of stop a little bit when we fire rockets, but we can sprint around, which is nice. Domino effect. This one, when we score a critical hit, we're going to gain fire rate and reload speed for a short time. If score a critical hit with his action skill, he doubles his effect. Well, we're going to use that shoulder cannon a lot. And we're going to try and hit those because that's just going to give us a lot of reload speed. We've got 2 into the Art of War. This is after activating the action skill or action skill ability. My next shot fired from my weapon deals increased damage. This effect stacks. So gun damage, 6%, 10 stacks. Big guns, next shot, you know, I'm not taking a lot of shots. It's not like I'm running around with a rapid fire weapon here. So this is valuable on this particular build. And then our most important skill here, Eraser. Zane's critical hits pierce through enemies for all weapons, dealing increased damage for every enemy pierced. Every time it pierces an enemy, it's going to create that next projectile. It gets additional action skill damage and mayhem scaling. And boy, howdy, things that chain react are crazy. And finally, our man Flint. While aiming down sights, Zane's weapons deal bonus damage and automatically apply their status effect when he scores a critical hit. Yep, we're going to score critical hits. We are always going to fire our rockets while aiming down sights, so that we always get this. Action skills here, we have the over-the-shoulder cannon, cryo, and we are going to use proliferation, and we are going to run the hamster shield so that we have a little bit of extra protection, so all around her. And we're going to go for the health regen one because, again, oh boy, are we going to kill ourselves, right, Negan?
Yes, yes, indeed. You do fall down, trip on your own toes quite a bit.
Yes. All right, so let's head on over to the place where we're going to choose to kill ourselves tonight, which we'll just go to Athenas. Okay, so I am actually going to recommend Negan kind of does stay back a little bit, at least for his first spot. So I'm going to show you what the Globetrotter does. I'm going to come up here. And what we're looking for is for this like really violent screen shake to occur, which will tell us that we've erasered with one of these weapons and that they're starting a chain reaction. So I'm in here, I'm gonna throw down my shield. I'm gonna Yep, there was, and you saw the little visual effect on the screen. Somebody got hit, and it did definitely erase her. Now's the part where I die. Yep, I got a little too close to my damage. Got a little too close to my own damage. No, it's okay. Okay. Pick me up. Go ahead. I was going to try and get it, but I don't have to. I mean, the only good news here is like, normally you have a hard time getting up with Zane.
Yeah, you do.
But when you're firing all rocket launchers, it's not nearly as hard as it normally is. All right, that's gonna erase her for sure. Yep, it's still erasing.
Yep, and actually you damaged me, and I'm standing way behind you. And it took me out. Oh, that one took me out.
It is really erasing here. There it goes.
Stop it. Big mistake. Run away.
It's a big mistake, Negan. A really big mistake. And I am running the Annex Jericho, I'll remind you, which this gun sucks,
yes.
Man. It's like not even good, right? I mean, and you could just look at the screen over there, man. It just, yeah. So everything's dead, and it all went boom.
Including your buddy Zane behind you as well for a while there. Everybody went down.
Everybody went down. Everybody's dead. That's kind of how this build works, man. It's just, that's the whole point. I don't, everybody's gonna be dead here too. I guarantee you. You better get out, Negan. It's a mistake to stay in there.
Run!
All we have to do is get one crit, and everybody dies. Gonna happen again.
Yeah, running cover over here.
Not good enough. All right, so there's you see, I ran out of ammo there. So now I'm gonna have to cut purse it.
Cut purse, which you jump and launch.
Yep. So that last shot was with the creamer, and it does a lot of damage. I mean, a lot of damage. And when it erasers, it really erasers also. So certain guns are really good at this. Certain guns are pretty good at it. The Shocker shotgun is really good at this. The Annex Jericho is really good at it. The Globetrotter is really good at it. Let's see. What I want to get is when those guys. There was one. That was a big one. All right. When these. All right. I want to stay here because I want to.
Can I get the spawn point?
Yeah. All right, man. You're forcing me to do it. Oh, there it goes. There it goes.
I see it. A whole bunch of bad guys went down a little bit.
Gonna happen again. Everybody's dead, Negan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. Look at that. They are not lasting very long at all.
No. Yeah, so again, that the build is kind of weird. It's a little funky to play with. It's very fun to play with, but I mean you got to play a little bit back, right? Like you got to think about your angles. I'm forever like backing back around corners because I will like if stuff starts to really bounce around damage-wise, it will go all over this map all at once.
Yep, so much bouncing around that actually took out. I'm hanging out here behind you, is watching you shoot things, and a barrel blew up.
Yeah, that's the other problem. It will blow up every barrel. There we go. There we go.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was all the way back here. You saw those next. So what's actually happening with this one is it hits them, it crits, they die, and it launches up a whole other set of them. And then you saw that second set come down, and they have so much additional damage with them that it literally, I was standing, whatever that was, I don't know, almost out of that entire area, and I almost got killed by it from the splash damage because it's that deadly. Again, basically any rocket launcher that does splash damage works, but things like the Plague Bearer don't work great. The Hive is kind of fun, actually. The Hive can be a blast because the enemies turn into like the dying enemies turn into like hives of their own. That was a dangerous decision. All right.
No more bad guys there. All the bad guys gone. Gone, gone. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yells you missed, and you still somehow got him. Nice.
Man, you have to be so careful with the Globetrotter. So good,
yeah,
but There we go.
Stadia.
That was one right there. It killed everybody. It wasn't a super strong one, but that did it. All right, I'm gonna put on the hive real quick just to show you that one because that one's pretty fun. I think I have one here. Yes, I do. Hive. I'll switch out my Globetrotter for the Shocker.
Nice. It should be fun.
Yeah, the Shocker's a little tricky, only because you have a tendency to, at least I do, or maybe you don't. I have a tendency to kill myself with this one. All right, that critted. Didn't hit anybody else with it though. Yeah, see, I got myself. That one you kind of have to fire it down at your feet.
And which one is this? So, this is the Shocker?
That was the Shocker. Yep. All right, so there's the hive. And you'll see it's critting all over the place, and you'll see it's just generating additional, like they'll just start streaming down on top of the other enemies, like out of thin air, which is literally what it's doing. It's creating additional projectiles. All right, so here I'm going to use the creamer on Trant. I'm actually I'm going to throw my my shield out up here. I'm going to go down. Oh no. I already killed him. I have to reset the instance. Haha. I was killing him before we grouped up.
All right, here we go. Doing this time.
All right, creamer. So I'm going to throw down my shield, pick it up. I'm going to go down. I'll fire this. It's just not quite getting the angle down there, but he is dead. And I never even got close.
Nice. It still took him down pretty fast. It didn't feel like it, but still took him down pretty fast. That's the thing with heavy weapons, though. They do a lot of damage and they do take down things quickly, but they just feel like you're taking a long time.
Yeah, well, and the one issue with this build, and we just kind of saw it there, is I didn't crit on the first two at all, right? So, like, you don't crit every time. So from a bossing perspective, that's kind of the challenge. Like, you're not guaranteed you're going to crit. You might, and if you do, it's going to be insane. If you don't, it's not. So 30% of the time when I drop down and use the creamer on him, he's insta-dead. 70% of the time I have to fire 3 rockets. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's just how it is. And that's okay. I mean, the build is more about just kind of having some fun and doing something different, and different it is. So we're going to use that on him this time. We'll use the Annex Jericho this time.
All right.
So you can see those big explosions. Big explosions, but they're probably going to kill me more than they're going to kill him.
That's killed me.
Nope. All of a sudden it gets him. All of a sudden it got him. It's the weirdest thing, right? Like all of a sudden it erasers and boom, he's just he went from like half shield, full health to dead in a second.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's a good illustration of the effect we're looking for out of it. Perfect illustration. All right, we're going to do one more, and I'm just going to show you the complex route, which is interesting. I mean, really interesting, I would say, the way it works. So when it erasers, it's just going to create additional of like the little swarmy bee things on the location, which crit additionally and crit additionally. And it's actually kind of cool. It's not actually too bad for bossing. I used it quite a bit to take down I can't remember now the name, but the boss at the end of the Krieg DLC, the big way off in the distance, I forget his name. The final boss of the Krieg DLC though, who you can't really hit effectively with launchers. But boy, you can hit him effectively with the complex route, and when this gets going, all of a sudden you're talking like just insane amounts of damage. All right, so this time we're gonna go with shock on Trant here. Build. Now radiation, and he's dead.
Dang. That was what, 3 shots? Maybe? 4 shots?
Yeah. I mean, I had a few shots going, and then I had to reload. That's the only problem with the route, man. Like the reload time on it's pretty bad. And I wanted to switch elements, but yeah, once I switched over to radiation, boom. Actually, I'd be interested to see. We'll do one more. I just want to see how it does with just radiation. If I don't go down there with shotgun, maybe if I just do rad right from the start, it'll just really wreck him. The point is, there's options, right? There's options, and again, I would never consider this to be a serious build. Like I wouldn't, we ran it in the Malwan takedown. It got through it just fine.
Right. But like you said, we did hurt ourselves a lot.
We hurt each other with our 2 builds a lot. You killed me all the time. It was doing well in the Guardian takedown, other than the fact that it just kept killing the other person. And so it's not in like top tier content like the Guardian takedown, not valid. Because not because you're not gonna kill enemies, but just because you're gonna kill everybody. Your whole squad is gonna die because of you. That's not ideal.
No, not ideal. Yeah, it was the whole the jumping mentality of the jumping defense of the Guardians as they were coming at you and stuff like that. And I think with the heavies, trying to hold the place with heavies was just difficult as well.
Yeah, because we were both running nothing but heavy, which is challenging. All right, so shield down, pick it up, go down here.
Dang. Putting Trant down quick.
If I don't have to reload, man. So the erasers on that are I mean, they happen. They're just much, Sentinel Cryo Chaosin. Just, much smaller in scale. But they're happening, and they're good. The cool thing is Moxie has a great list already out there from his Does It Eraser of all the guns that you can run with this build. There's quite a selection.
Right.
Again, the ones I showed off tonight I think are excellent choices. He's got a whole list. Actually, the Roisenthorns I know is on that list. And then, the build parts for this are pretty simple. It's really just going to be a resistant weatherproof revolter. It's going to be any kind of hustler. Obviously, this one has weapon damage, mag size, and crit damage, but anything really will work. You need an OGT, it's piss grenade. You need a cut purse launch pad, otherwise you won't ever have ammo. And then just a bunch of guns that eraser, preferably launchers because you'll get a lot of crits out of one shot. Skill tree, I'm just gonna flash it up again. Here's the blue tree. Here's the red tree. Here's the green tree. And finally the purple tree. We're capstoning the purple tree and the blue tree. So those are both capstones. And yeah, man, I think that's it. Really, again,
Sounds good.
Just a build focused on just having fun. Like, that's the point of this build. Strong, yeah, but it's mostly just about having fun. And understand that if you use it in group play, everybody you play with is just going to basically be mad at you the whole time.
Right. It's playing with groups that you don't like. That's the way to put it. You just want to keep killing your friends.
There's a good way to, yeah. If you want to irritate a group that you're playing with, there's somebody in that group
be the build for you.
You don't like. Especially just throw on this gun. I mean, this gun is just, there's nothing like it for, making sure that everybody in your group is basically on the ground the entire time. Other than you. You'll be fine. They'll all be dead. So, cool. All right, Negan. Well, I'm going to let you sign us out. Oh, what do you think of your beer? How's your Mexican lager beer?
The Mexican lager, the Aztec lager, as Barry also calls it, was very good. In fact, I'm glad. I think I have another one in there that I'm probably going to consume tonight because it has been a hot day, and it is very good, very refreshing, very definitely yes, all good. Nothing but good notes about it. Wasn't bitter, nothing like that, and there's no hoppiness to it. All good, very refreshing, very much like drinking a cool glass of water.
Nice. Good.
How about yours? How about your Kolsch?
It was very good also. Very good. Yeah, I like it a lot. I'm not nearly the Kolsch fan that you are. But it was definitely it's tasty for a Kolsch. So there's that.
Nice.
But yeah. But I'm gonna say like 7, and it has nothing. This might be, I mean, I'll be honest, Negan. It's possible this is the best Kolsch on Earth.
Right.
It might be
a subjective scale. It's a scale based on what you like and don't like.
It might be. I don't know. I don't drink enough Kolsch to know if it is the best Kolsch that's ever existed. It's good. It's just not my, my number one preference from a beer perspective, but it's very good. So
nice. Good solid 7. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a not going to turn it down if somebody offers it to you again. And
absolutely not. I would buy it again, especially in summer.
Absolutely. Best time to drink Kolsch's.
Or if you're if you're you, winter and stouts in the summer.
Exactly. That's the way you do it. Might as well, if you're going to go off the rails, go off the rails the right ways.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Well, on that note, I think it's time to say goodbye to everybody. Thanks for stopping by. Good build, Burt. It looks like we talked about it. It is a fun build. It does do the takedown. It does do the Mallow takedown. It did struggle through the Guardian takedown, but it is a fun build. And if you don't like who you're playing with, put on this build and take them all down. So
yeah, there you go.
Have some fun that way.
All right, cool.
On that note, we're gonna go ahead and say, see ya.